Hi all, today we are going to talk about Cloud NAT and it will be like deep dive and I will create the multiple parts for this. So basically Cloud NAT provides us network address translation for the outbound traffic. So the traffic can to be over the internet or we can now send traffic to your VPC on-premises networks and other cloud network providers also. So these services are there which support Cloud NAT like compute engines, VM, GKE, and if you are running Cloud Run instances through serverless VPC access or direct VPC egress or Cloud Run functions via serverless VPC access, App Engine standard environment again we have to use serverless VPC access and internal network endpoint groups which will be regional. So basically Cloud NAT comes in two types, public NAT and private NAT. So private net recently introduced by Google Cloud. So in this video, we will focus on public net and in the later parts of the video, I will show how to use private net. So let's start and see how to use the public net. So basically public net lets like Google Cloud resources which don't have a IP address, public IP address to communicate with the internet. And these VMs use a shared public IP address to connect to internet. Suppose you have a VM in which you don't have external IP address to communicate with the internet, so you can use CloudNet. So with the help of CloudNet, you can send traffic to the internet. So like if you want to download some patches in your VM so that you can update the image or something like that. So with the help of CloudNet, we can do that. And like public net is not kind of proxy VMs which we use in like in the on-prem. Basically, it in this a public net gateway allocates a set of external IP address and source port to each VM, and that uses the gateway to create outbound connection to the internet. So whenever you create a cloud net, there's options like how many ports you want to assign to a to every VM. So like if you have a high traffic from the VM, you can increase the ports, and if you have a minimum like traffic going outside from your VM, so you can choose according to that. So we have the option to choose that, and CloudNet is regional. So suppose you have created in like Mumbai location, you cannot use in like US locations. So you have to create CloudNet for every region separately. And through CloudNet, you can send traffic to internet, and it is kind of only egress only. So no one from the internet directly reaches your CloudNet and then your like your VMs, which is behind the CloudNet. It is not possible. Only you can send traffic, and the return traffic will be allowed, but no one from direct over the internet can reach you. CloudNet doesn't support that. And some things we have to take care like cloud net gateway can only use routes whose next hopes are default internet gateway. So if you want to use cloud net, your next hope must be a default internet gateway, so like 0.0.0.0/0, and that next hop will be internet gateway. If you don't use this specific route, you cannot use cloud net. It will not work, it will not send any traffic. And a public net gateway never performs net for traffic sent to external IP address of Google APIs and services. You must know like if you want to communicate with that GCP services like BigQuery, cloud storage, so which are basically Google Cloud APIs. Whenever you enable NAT gateway, it will never performs NAT for that specific traffic. What will happen instead? It will automatically enable private Google access for that specific subnet IP range for which you have enabled that public NAT gateway. So when we create a public NAT, so we have the options like which subnets we have to choose. So like if you have chosen a specific subnet, so on that subnet, private Google access will automatically be enabled, and all the traffic to the Google APIs will go via internal IP address. It will never go over the internet. So this thing I will show you how it happens. And if you are using shared VPC network and you want to share the NAT in the service projects, so always create NAT gateways in the host project. And another thing need to be noticed, like when you create a cloud network gateway in one VPC network, it cannot provide NAT to VMs in other VPC networks, like which are connected by VPC peering. Even if the VMs in paired networks are in the same region, then also it will not work. VPC peering doesn't support NAT. You can't share your NAT with the another network. You have to make sure. And after that, we have two options. When we enable cloud net, like public net, so we need a public IP address which will be regional because cloud net is a regional service. So you have to create a regional IP. So you have two options, whether you can ask Google to NAT IP address allocation, or you want like you will assign yourself. So what will happen in the automatic? Google will all or like automatically assign the IP addresses. Suppose your traffic is getting increased, you have added more VMs. Previously you were supporting 10 VMs, now 100 VMs. So Google will automatically add new IP address. So you don't have to do anything, and Google will. And suppose if you remove some VMs and traffic will be low, so Google will move that IP address also. So it will done by the Google only, and it will base like which network tier you have selected, like premium or standard, number of VMs, number of ports that are reserved. I will show you all these things. Now after that we have manual also. Suppose you want like I will all create the IP address and I will manage that. And if in the future I will need more IP address, I will create more IP address and add into my manual net configurations. So with this, basically we will reserve IP address, and like it is regional external IP address, and we can choose whether from premium tier or standard tier or both. But there are some conditions we will talk about later on for these conditions. So suppose manual is kind of helpful, like if you want the IP address known before, like which IP address you are going to use. Suppose you have some conditions in your organization that IP address must be like kind of allowed in the firewall, something like that. There must be some conditions like you must know the IP. Then you can use manual NAT IP. And in the automatic, you never knows which IP will Google reserve next, because automatic and manual have different quota. So you can never like know which next IP going to be reserved by Google for automatic. But by manual, you can reserve the IP address automatic like manually and use that IP. After that, we have ports options. So as we know, like there are total 65,536 ports, out of which CloudNet doesn't use first 1024 well node ports, which is also known as previous ports. So basically it only use 65,500 TCP, and same for UDP. So there are again two options we have, whether we can use static port allocation or we can use dynamic port allocation. So in that happens, in the static one, we define a minimum number of ports which we need per instance. So if you don't specify anything, Google will use the default one. And static is kind of default only. It is already enabled for us. And if you want, you can move to dynamic also. And because of all VMs are allocated the same number of ports. So suppose we have chosen 64 ports per VM. So every VM will get 64 ports. And it will helpful when you have the like all VM has similar egress use, like all VM send same egress traffic. Suppose, but there is a condition like some VMs send high level of traffic to egress and some are using very less traffic. Then better to go with dynamic. So what will happen in dynamic? You have to define a minimum number of ports and maximum number of ports per instance. So suppose you told that minimum I want 64, but if traffic increase to the egress, so let it be uh, like go till 128 ports. So like you can define minimum and maximum configuration, and it will be very helpful like if you don't know like how much traffic your VM going to send outside. Otherwise there will be traffic drop, or you will face some like RTO. So make sure what you are doing and how to use this. And then some limitations, like if you change the network tier of automatically allocated IP address for a NAT gateway, all connections on the old IP address immediately close. So network tier means premium tier or standard tier. So if you don't know the difference between both, you can check out my one video on that. So basically in premium, the traffic will go inside the Google network, and in the standard tier, traffic will go over the internet. So there will be more hops. So latency will be little high. And if you use manual net IP address allocation, you can change the IP address that are used for cloud net, and all the connection on the old IP address are immediately closed. So if you change manual net IP address, you make sure this will going to happen. And there's an option to drain the connection. So I will show you if you click on that icon, so it will not drop any active connections. And we can, if you configure a NAT gateway with static port allocation, and reduce the minimum number of ports per VM. So again, established NAT connections might be broken. Suppose you have previously chosen 128 and now you reduce the minimum number of ports per VM to 64. So there are some chances that your existing connections will be broken. Same for here also. If you change anything for the dynamic port, maybe established connections might be broken. And if you configure a NAT gateway with dynamic port allocation and turn off the dynamic port allocation, all the VM connection that use a NAT gateway are closed. So make sure what you are doing. Let's do some demo before doing limitations. Check what are the limitations. Otherwise, it will be possible that your organization or your VM face some issues while connecting to internet, or there will be some drop traffic. And if endpoint independent mapping is turned on, we cannot use dynamic port allocation or NAT tools. I know it is little too much for the limitation, but I am just put it here. You can check out these all the options. So let's go to our console and start doing our demo. So here I have a VM. As of now, it is I'm just have a name manual net. It is a public. It is a private IP. No public IP as of now. I have already logged into this VM. So let me run some ping command. Ping dot 8 dot 8 dot 8. As you see, they I'm not able to ping. It is just cannot pass like reach the internet because I don't have external IP. So also if I go to VPC network and if I go to inside that, so this VM is in my Asia South one. And if I go to subnets, I want to show you like in Asia South one. So inside Asia South one, as of now, I don't have any private Google access enabled. So as I've told you, as soon as I enable that Cloud NAT, public NAT, it will enable this private Google access automatically. So let's go to Cloud NAT. Here we in the Cloud NAT. Just click on Get Started. So you have to provide a name. Let's give it testnet. And after that, these are of two types, public and private. So in this video, we are talking about public. So we have to create a cloud router. So we will choose a network. So I'm going with my default network. After that, you have to choose a region. So here you have defined which region you want to create your cloud net. So I will go with Asia South one, in which my VM is there. This is Mumbai location. And we have to create a cloud router. If you don't have, you can just click on create. Basically, it doesn't do any BGP peering and nothing like that. It just forward the like that cloud net information to your VM, kind of this. So we can say cloud net or cloud router. You can give any name and leave this. You don't have to configure any much thing. It is just for it will push some your cloud net info, your host info to your VM so that they know how to send traffic. After that, the main thing is here, you have to choose that VM option, VM, GK, nodes or serverless. You can use manage proxy load balancer also. I will check this, like show this in the next part. After that, the main thing is here, the source subnet. Like what subnets you want to share. So you can share primary and secondary ranges of all the subnets. Like if you in a uh, region you have five subnet, you can share both primary and secondary range, or you want to share only primary range. That all the option you have, you can choose a custom also. Like I want custom, I want to share a specific one also. So you can just come here, click, choose a subnet and the IP range. In again IP range, you can choose secondary also and primary also if you want to share only one. So if I go with primary, only primary one it will be selected. I don't have secondary one. If you have secondary, you can choose that also. So it depends upon you how you want to do. So let's go with custom one, but there is no issue. You can go with this also. These three options are the same or kind of same only, but it will give you more like customization. After that, even you can add more subnet IP range. I don't have, but you can do. After that, main thing is here like cloud net IP address. You want automatic or manual. So let's first go with automatic, and I will show you manual also. So in this network tier, we will have to choose standard or premium. So premium I am going to choose. After that, here we can see the minimum ports per VM. So it is as of now assigning 64 ports to my VM. You can see you can increase this value also. Like if you want 200 ports per VM, you can choose here, and like this. Maximum you cannot select, only minimum you can select. If you want to select maximum, you have to choose an enable dynamic port allocation, in which you have to select the values from this range only. So let's go without first dynamic. We will see first static, then dynamic. So let's select 60, like select 64 only, and After that, these are some timeouts. So UDP timeout, established timeout, like in 1200 second it will time out, transitory TCP wait 120 seconds. It is default. If you want, you can make it 30 also, like 30 second it will wait for 30 seconds. Like this you can do. This all depends how you want to time out, like your protocols connection timeouts, how you want to define according to applications. So, and you even also enable logging like transitional or errors or only transitional. Transitions means like if it's successful, then it will show like okay. Otherwise, error will, like if connection is being dropped for somehow any reason, you can do that also. Let's make it transactions and errors, and let's click on create. My cloud net has been created. Let's go inside that and see what the functions we have chosen. So here it is an automatic one. Premium dynamic port disabled, minimum port 64 we have, and all else are default options only. So let's go back to my VM. You can see it is already pinging. I have even not started, and you can see the range also from 362. So it is still trying so many connections. If I stop it and retry it, we can see it is pinging without an issue. So if I go back to my subnet also and just refresh this page, we will see that it has already enabled private Google access for this subnet. So we can see private Google access in fact. Here it will show, but it will give this warning like is in effect, and even even though it has not been enabled manually for packets sent from the subnet primary secondary range, because Cloud NAT is configured for those ranges. So our private Google access already been in the fact, it is kind of enabled. Now one more thing I want to show you. So if we go to routes and if we delete our default route, all the traffic will be dropped, because as per the conditions there will be a default route to the internet so the traffic can flow. We can come here, click on view, and we can go in here our default route, which is default internet gateway, and we can copy this, and let me delete it. And once it will be deleted, you can see the traffic will be all stopped. It is not no more pinging. So we can see now the traffic is being dropped. It is not working. So that confirms we need a default route to send the traffic to the internet. So let's create it back. So we can click here, create route, and let's give the same name which we have copied, and destination range 0.0.0/0, and we can choose default internet gateway and just click on create. And once we create it, you can see the ping is back. We are able to reach the internet. So you have to make sure the route is there, and there will be like someone in your company, like you have 5 VMs, 10 VMs, and you want that CloudNet can only be accessible by only single VM. So that can also be possible. So let me show you how to do that. So first let me create one more VM. So I have created one more VM in the same region, and this is the private IP of that. Let me go inside that, and if I ping again this IP, we can see I'm able to reach this from this also. But suppose there will be a condition like only this VM can reach internet but not this VM, and there is the kind of requirement in your organization. So what we can do, we can again go inside this uh, route. Let me copy it. We cannot edit a route, but let me delete and recreate it, and we will use the option of instance tags. So let me click on create and give it a name, and here we will provide a range 0.0.0/0, and here we provide a tag net. So the VM which have this option, this tag enabled, like this tag, like you know target tags in the firewall, the same is a instance tags. Only that VM can reach internet. So let's click on create. So it has been created. Let's go back and see if anyone is working. No, this VM is not working, and this is also not working as of now. Both VM doesn't have the connection. Even we have created the our route. So what I have to do? We have to go inside our VM and just provide this net uh, target tag to our VM. We will click on edit, and we have to go in the same in that network, and we have to just provide here. Just click on here, provide that option net, and just click on save, and we will see that this VM will start pinging as soon as my configuration is saved. You can see the ping has came back, and for this VM, it is still not going the traffic to the internet. So like this, you can do much things. So one option I want to show you this. After that, I have a script in this VM. So what will I do? There's a script. Let me test it first. So in this VM, I have a script. What it is doing, it will open a connection to this example.com, and it will sending 70 connections in parallel. So as you know, in my configuration, I can only open 64 connections, like 64 ports I have maximum, like in this static one, 64 minimum ports had been assigned to my VM. And if I try more than 64, the traffic will be dropped for that remaining. So as of now, I am sending like 70 connections. So there will be six drops. A packet drop will be there. So let's run this, and we can see six packet drops are there. And these are one, two, three, four, five, six. And if I try again, once again, because let's see, I will see all the packets are will be dropped. See, all the connection has been failed. It is happening because of this timeouts which we have configured. So this TCP time wait means if I send the traffic to the same destination on the in the same port, so there will be a timeout. Like I have to wait up until 30 seconds to create a connections. But I can send traffic to any other destination that will work. But for this specific destination, I have to wait until 30 seconds. So it makes sure that everything is good, no duplicate traffic will go. Because of that, we have to wait 30 seconds. As soon as my 30 seconds will be over, I can send a new traffic. So let's wait for 30 seconds. Once it's done, I can show you once again. So I think 30 seconds has been completed. Let's try again. So we can see succeed, succeed. We are getting succeed, but for the six again we will get a drop because we have only 64 ports. So like this, you can understand first. You understand your requirement. How many egress connection will be like open. According to that, you have to assign ports, whether you can go static or you can go dynamic. So we have seen the static one. So now I will show you dynamic also. So let's go. We are back here, and let's click on edit to our NAT gateway, and I want to show you something before we do that. And in that automatic IP allocation, I want to show you like as of now we are using 64 ports, but if we increase these ports, our traffic will be passed without an issue. That's why we have to be sure, like we go to with the minimum, like static or dynamic. So static, we have seen how it works. So let's do create dynamic one. So in the dynamic, what we do, we will before doing this, let me delete my VM, the VM which I don't need as of now. So that I can show you how it works basically in behind the scenes. So here we are back for the dynamic one. So in that you have to define minimum ports per instance. So I say I want minimum 64 I need, and the maximum I need 128. So what will happen if traffic will kept on increasing, like egress traffic, it will assigning more ports to your VM. So let's click on save. So it will be not instant, like you traffic will be automatic, like instantly it will assign the ports. It will take some time. So there will be much retry option in your application also, like if it is getting dropped, so it must kept retrying. So you have to make sure that also. If it very fast forward, like opening and closing the connection, then it will failed only. So as you see, I have done the changes. So if I go here and try to again this connection, we will see that it will get failed only, like last six connections. So we can see it is being getting failed. It is because we are doing very fast. So we have to make sure we can do this, like add some retry or mechanism. So I have a script for that also. Let me show you the script. In this, I have added a retry logic. I have not created this script. I have asked ChatGPT to create this. I don't know much programming, but I will share in that GitHub, in my GitHub, this script. So what we are doing here, I have added max time like 5 and all that. I have done some retries plus 1. It will kept on retrying till it will do total 5 retry, and it will do total 130 connections. Okay, so like for this for loop I have done for the 130 connections. As you know, I have a 128 post total. So it will going to drop that last two connection. Let me run this script dot slash new connection dot sh. So we can see connections are being success going on. We can see some are failed, so it is retrying, and that connections are now passed succeeded. And I think two connection will get again failed because we have over 128 ports, but we are sending 130 requests. So it will kept on retrying until it failed. So if uh, we have 30 seconds of TCP wait, in 30 seconds the port will be released and we can send the traffic to this specific destination. If before 30 seconds it will done, that's okay. Otherwise this request will be failed permanently. So we can see it is failed only. So like this you can create mechanism to retry mechanism according to your configuration. So as you seen, like it has been successful, but for the failed request, so whatever happened at the backend, it has created that, like asked Cloud NAT to give more ports. So Cloud NAT give the more ports to it, and because of that, without it is not failed directly, it just kept on retrying, and once the port will be assigned to it, it just succeeded. So you can try these things. And now let's edit this, and I want to show you something. So how cloud networks behind the scene. So if we go back and go to IP addresses and click on external IP address, you see cloud router has assigned us a IP address, and this IP we are using. So basically traffic is going outside from this IP, and we can see also it is being used by cloud router. So if you go edit cloud router and go to advanced configuration, and if we select here, like first of all we have to change this. Let's go with 65,000, and here we select 32,000. So we are saying we need minimum 32,000 ports per VM and maximum ports will be 65,000. So what does that mean? It will work as we have one VM, there will be no issues because one VM can use all the ports. It will work fine, and it can also auto scale. Like if 32,000 ports will be over, it will automatically provide extra ports which we have because they are single VM, and the cloud net is smart enough to understand that there is only one VM, so I don't have to assign any new IP. So if we come here and click on refresh also, we will see there is no change here. The IP is one only. So now let's create a new VM. As soon as we create a new VM, what will happen? CloudNet will understand, yeah, they have created a new VM, and that VM also will use same 32,000 IPs, 32,000 ports. So it will assign a new IP for us. So let's go here, CloudNet, and just choose Mumbai region, and let's go to networking and network interface, and we will remove the public IP and just click on create. So I am creating this my VM. So it is has been created kind of. So let's go back and just click on refresh. We can see CloudNet is already created a new IP also at the backend. So like this, CloudNet will automatically edit the new IPs as the VMs will get kept on increasing. So this is the beauty of automatic one. So if you going with automatic, you don't have to worry anything. CloudNet will take care of everything. Like for the IPs. Whenever it sees new VMs are getting created, it will kept on increasing the IP. And if we delete this VM, it will automatically delete this also. So if we click on delete, and once it will be deleted, our IP will automatically will be released. So that's the functionality of automatic uh, options. So that we have seen. Now let's click on edit, and the last one we have the manual one. Let's see that also. So but automatic is recommended until and unless there is a requirement that you cannot use automatic, then only choose manual. So let's go with manual. In the manual again we have the same thing, standard, all that, and here we have to choose that IP address. This IP we cannot use, this is for automatic one. If we try to use these IPs, it will give us a error. It will show but we cannot use. So let's click on create IP address. Let's provide cloud NAT manual IP, and we will click on reserve. It will create a IP for us. That is done. Now option of, so we can enable IP draining also, but it will showing that draining can be only enabled for existing IP address. So we will enable it later on. We will edit this and just click on save. And these are some cloud NAT tools which will cover in my next videos. As of now, I'm just ignoring it. And in the customization, again, we are the same thing. We can go with dynamic or just static one. So for the static, you can even define your ports also. Like let's say I want 120 or anything you can define which you want. You cannot define maximum, only minimum ports which you want. And this option enable endpoint independent mapping. It is a very broad topic kind of. You can read out here for more things how it works. But there's one more thing. If you enable this, enable endpoint independent mapping, you cannot use dynamic port allocation. And if you enable dynamic, you cannot use this. So they cannot work both together. So you have to choose one, only one. So let's go with 120 here, and all, let's leave save, and let's click on save. So it has been saved. If you go inside, we can see there is a cloud NAT rule is there. We will talk about later on this in the next parts. And this is our IP. And into my VM, and let's do dot slash testnet dot connection dot sh. So here we have up to 70 connection. Let's do once again, and we can see some will be dropped because of as I've told you that TCP wait time, because the same destination and same all that same source. But if you try to send traffic to some another VM, some another external IP, it will work. So if I try on this, we can see it is successful. But for that it will be failed because of same source and same destination. It will fail. And here we can see all the requests are succeed. It is more than 127, but we have only 120 ports here enabled. It is happening because if I show you, we are sending traffic to this akamai.com, and if we do a NS lookup for this, so it has more than two IP, like one IP. So it has two IP. So there, what will happening? It will creating connections to some connection to this IP and some connection to this IP, and maybe it can do for this also, like public IP also. Sorry, IPv6 v6 also. Because of that, and this condition is not getting succeeded, like met, like if the connection are same, so same destination and same port, so TCP wait time will be there. That is not working here because of that. But if we kept trying for this test net connection too, it will somehow will drop the traffic as at some time when all these four IP will be completed, and 30 wait time second, and that 30-second TCP wait time is not completed, it will drop. So let's try that also. As of now, it is getting succeed. Let's kept out trying. So we can see it will initially drop at some time. We can see it will start dropping. As soon as all the IP will be over, and it will try to send the traffic to the same IP once again with the source and destination will match, it will drop the traffic. So that's how we can check all these things. So where it is very important to understand when to use dynamic port allocation, when to use manual, when to use premium and all that, and automatic, sorry, not, and when to use automatic, and which subnet we have to allow, and all these things. So make sure what you're doing. So choose automatic only as it is recommended. And if you have know like how much configuration your VM is going to use, like how many connection it is going to use, so If you know about all that, you can go with static one. If you don't know, you just go with dynamic one and assign the configuration according to that. And these timeouts are very important. So like do some demo how this timeout works. Read about Cloud NAT, because as I've told you, the same source, like source is already the same only always this source, and destination is also same. So this TCP wait time will work. This it will be 30 seconds, but if source is same and destination is different and your previous connection is already closed, then it will not like implemented. But if the previous connect but if the it is same and the connection is just closed, it will wait for 30 seconds to create a new connection to the same destination. But if you change the destination, this will be of no use. So you have to make sure what you are doing, and this default route also you have to make sure, like if you are going to use VPC, like there will be a default route, and if you are using firewalls, you can define that also. And with as I was talking about firewall, you can even use firewall also to block some egress traffic. So if you want, like you cannot reach 8.8.8.8, like that is a Google DNS server, you can create a egress rule also. So let's call it egress, and you want to deny this all instance in the network, or you can use tags also. So I have already a tag, but you can this depend upon you. And this is my destination, and here I will to choose ICMP. As of now, I am able to ping 8.8.8. So let's create this and create this rule. So what will happen at the backend before traffic will go out to the internet? It will go from the VM, and VM will check any egress rules, like firewall rules are there. So as soon as see that this traffic to this IP has been blocked, it cannot be reached. So let's see, traffic has been getting dropped. It cannot reach. But if we change the IP to something else, we can see we can be able to reach the internet. So like this, you can use firewall rules also for your configuration. If you want to block specific sites, like some malicious IPs you want to deny, so that VM cannot reach out to that malicious IP. So you can use this also. And if you have any questions, suggestions, anything, just comment it down. And also I will share my email ID. You can reach out to me for any questions, or if you need any help. I am happy to help. Thank you very much.